Hello everyone, Time to Grind here, and today I wanted to talk about how convoluted some cosmetic systems can be in some video games. And, as more and more game companies and developers are realizing the money to be made in in-app purchases and cosmetics and stuff like that, everyone is trying to jump in and have their own whole unique kind of cosmetic system. And whether they're using scummy loot boxes or just, having normal costumes that you can buy, every game that tries to do them does them differently, and a lot of games do them in the most backwards way and just very overwhelming. And lately I started to realize some of the games that in particular are really bad about this. So I wanted to make a video kind of talking about how terrible the systems are and kind of, what I think that they could do to improve them and stuff like that. And so first off, I want to talk about Dota 2. Now I recently started playing Dota 2, so obviously I'm kind of being, introduced into the whole cosmetic system and stuff. But, originally it felt like everything used to be either marketable or tradable, because Dota 2 is on the Steam market, which, you can sell and, trade your items and stuff like that. So Dota 2 used to really use that system. It used to be like, hey, we're on Steam, we're going to use what we have. You can, sell and market and trade everything that you get. And then they started making untradeable stuff that, sometimes could only be gifted one time to try to make them more rare. Then they had, they changed the way loot boxes worked, where, they had the normal things in the loot boxes, and every time you got one, you wouldn't get a duplicate until you got all of them, but then you had like a rare, a super rare, and an ultra rare, and then, you can sell the ultra rare on the market, but the normal rare and the super rare, you can't sell at all. So it's pretty much, I don't know why you can actually sell the ultra rares, but, you can only gift them all once, but, only some of them are marketable, only the ultra rare, and, the duplicates only work for the normal ones, and so it's a little weird in itself. Then you have random seasonal events that, half the time I don't even know, they didn't seem to tell me that they were seasonals. So you could obtain like a really cool map, but the map's not permanent. The map is seasonal, and it literally gets deleted out of your inventory when it's gone, which I find really stupid, especially since half the time either it doesn't tell you or it's really hidden. Then you have some things which are like one-time uses that don't look like one-time uses. Sometimes you have, just a lot of the rarities don't even matter. You have some like immortals, which tend to be things that change like particle effects and stuff like that. Then you have arcanas, which are like the highest rare thing, which is like $35 and stuff like that. But then like you have rares and whatever the set is above that it doesn't really matter. They kind of just pick and choose randomly at what the rarities are. And then you have like the battle pass, which half the things in the current battle pass don't tell you what necessarily, like if they're seasonal, if they'll go away. It doesn't really tell you, but overall just the entire system is so convoluted because there's so many different working parts to it, and so many things that kind of go against what it was trying to do at the beginning. Because at the beginning it was supposed to be that you had everything could either be traded or sold on the market, and then they made untradeable stuff. And although I really don't like having seasonal event kind of stuff that are limited, I understand every game kind of has them, but then why you have these really stupid rules where in a chest all of the normal, you can't sell any of them except you can sell the ultra rare one. So that's like if you opened up a CSGO case and you could only sell the knife, anything else that you got in that chest you can't sell. It's just going to be stuck in your inventory forever, and you can gift it a single time, but that's it. So you open a really nice stat track AK, nope, can't sell that, sorry, it wasn't the rarest thing. And so it doesn't make any sense to me. Then you have like Rainbow Six Siege, and the cosmetic store for Rainbow Six Siege is a just complete mess. Some of the weapon skins and outfits you can buy with like the currency you obtain in game, while others can only be purchased with real money, and there is no like indication or reason or rhyme why some of them can only be bought with real money. I mean, you have the elite skins, which always cost real money, and that's like their really cool set that changes one thing of the ability or whatever. But then you have some random skin that just recolors someone, and that's a legendary, and it costs $8 real money. But then you have some weapon skins that are patterns that look really nice, but you can earn those with real money, or with the currency you own in game, and they look really nice and they're cheap. But then then you have a weapon skin that literally is just a solid recolor, so it just makes the whole gun blue rather than, black or whatever it was. And that you can only buy with real money, and it's considered a legendary, and it's more expensive than the awesome pattern thing. And now apparently they are removing anything from previous operations. So say they made, an outfit for everyone for Operation White Noise. They're taking those all out of the store because they're retroactively making everything seasonal events, like seasonal limited event items. And that's so terrible. And overall, the Rainbow Six Siege just storefront itself is so stupid, because then you have these alpha packs, which you can only, you can't buy with real money, the normal ones, and there's no indication on what's in those. And then you have seasonal things, because they had, like last season, they had their special alpha, loot box, and they're definitely going to bring that back, where they made so much money, where there's no duplicates, but there's 50 items, and they're all super expensive, and they only give you one item each, and so you'd have to spend like $120 to get the whole set. So although it's less scummy as most other loot boxes, because at least you're guaranteed to get everything if you spend the most money, that is still extremely scummy, because say you want just a single outfit, well, you just got to keep buying loot boxes over and over and over and over and over, and although yes, there is a cap of $100 and something, it's still absurd. And then you have TF2, and TF2 is kind of an interesting game because it's pretty old, so they've had a lot of time to just keep convoluting the cosmetics, but the old game, it had its nuances, but it was kind of self-explanatory. You had, your weapons, just the default weapons, then you had like hats and cosmetics, and some of the weapons could be stranges, which would count kills, and you had like unusuals, which would had cool effects, mainly on hats and stuff like that. But then they introduced stat track weapons, which counted your kills just like stranges, but they had an actual kill tracker on the guns, like in CSGO. So you have two things that are pretty much doing the exact same thing, but they look different a little bit, and so that made everything more convoluted. And originally, stranges used to only be for weapons, and unusuals mainly for the cosmetics and hats and stuff like that. But then it kind of like they were making like some strange like hats and stuff like that, and unusual weapons, and then they made like kill streak weapons, which pretty much were unusual, but like you had to go on a kill streak to have the effects on them. And then they had like genuine items, and then they had so many different tiers of random qualities of weapons and cosmetics and stuff like that. And some things were like seasonal, but you could sell them on the market. Then you had like some kits you could buy that required different parts, but you could turn a normal weapon into a strange weapon. And then you had the whole metal system where you could like disenchant, quote unquote, stuff to get metal, and then you would use them mainly for trading, but apparently like the whole systems got super inflated, but super convoluted like that. I don't understand why these games are so convoluted, especially like Rainbow Six Siege. It seems like they just, every set that they make and every weapon skin is just in a bubble. There's no relation to the other things that have been made. It's just they make a weapon skin and they're like, okay, not regarding anything else that we've made, what should we do for this? And someone's like, oh, we should charge only real money for this. They can't buy it with in-game currency. And someone's like, that's a good idea. We need some money. And they do that, and they have no like memory of how they've previously priced or marketed different cosmetics. And as much as I hate on Overwatch, just because a lot of reasons that I've already talked about before, overall the cosmetic system in Overwatch is okay. Obviously it has loot boxes, which is really scummy, and you have so many people defending it like I used to. Unfortunately they are in loot boxes, so it really sucks, but at least the system itself kind of agrees with itself. There's no parts of the cosmetic system that are at war with each other. Like in TF2, where you have the stranges and you have the stat tracks, and they both kind of accomplish the same thing, but there's really no reason for them to both be there. Like, they could have just made all the stranges retroactively, stat tracks. But in Overwatch, you have your limited event kind of stuff, which is it sucks a lot because I don't like limited and seasonal stuff, but at least for the most part, a lot of that stuff comes back. So every winter you'll have a chance to get all the winter things. I think they recently had an anniversary edition thing where you could get all these old ones back, and they all neatly fall into different categories that you can look up in the cosmetics. So yeah, you have your sprays, you have your emotes, you have your stuff like that, but they're all neatly, put in different categories, whereas an example like in Dota 2, you just have your entire inventory and it looks like a mess. Obviously, like if you click a hero, you can look at, oh, what are all the shoulders they have? What do all of these have? But especially in Overwatch, because they're costumes themselves rather than individual pieces, it makes the whole system a lot nicer because it's just it's in one place and it's not confusing. And so Overwatch is okay in that regard. And I think besides the loot box whole shenanigan and the way they do seasonal events and stuff, I like them bringing them back, but I feel like they should make it easier to obtain the seasonal and limited kind of items. They are a better example than a lot of the games we have out there, but that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about those 3 terrible examples of cosmetic systems that I have recently just been thinking about, and kind of give some suggestions on how to fix them maybe, and let you know kind of if you're playing those games, be careful of cosmetic system, because they're quite interesting. They're puzzles in themselves. They're little mini games trying to understand how it works, and that definitely should not be how games do their cosmetics, especially when a lot of the players say they just want to buy one skin, and then they go in and it's like, oh, you have to buy the battle pass, you have to get to level 200, but then it's a seasonal limited thing that you can only market, you can't market, but you can trade once, and have these all stipulations. If someone just wants to buy something, just let them buy it. And unfortunately, loot boxes prevent that, but a lot of other things do, included having a convoluted system. But that's kind of all I wanted to talk about. If you guys have any different opinions, if you guys have any games that that personally have terrible cosmetic, systems, or have really good ones, let me know in the comments down below, because part of the fun of making these videos is not only talking at you guys, but the conversation that comes afterwards. And if you guys enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like down below and subscribing to see more content. New videos come out every Wednesday and Sunday. And like always, guys, I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and see you guys next time.